Hey, everybody, and welcome to What? Not Another Reselling Podcast here on YouTube. My name's Tracy, and this is...
I'm Brian.
And we have a guest today.
We're Jack's Treasures, by
Yes.
the way. And our podcast, we concentrate a lot on live reselling and the live reselling platforms, i.e. Whatnot, Jamble, District, Poshmark, any of them have live selling on it. But today we have a super special guest today with us today because, wow, I totally overtodayed that one.
We have a guest that has never been on another podcast. We have an exclusive.
We have an exclusive guest, and not only that, guys, but he is a buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And
he doesn't sell.
He does not sell. Not that I'm aware of. Okay. His name, I gave him a nickname in our show because everybody knows that one I cannot see no matter what. His name is actually William, but it was William and then it was a JC, and I didn't see it that way. I saw it straight up as Willow. So from that point on, I started calling him Willow.
Yes.
And I would like to introduce him to you guys right now. This is one of our OGs right over here. His name is Willow. Willow, you have the floor.
Hello, I'm Willow, also known as Will. So nice to meet everybody.
Do you go by Will?
I go by Will.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I will try to remember that, except for on our Whatnot shows.
And then
Will or Willow is good. I'm used to Willow now, so let's go with that.
Does anybody else call you Willow? I'm curious.
Only it's like every time I go into a few of the streamers like to buy things, they'll notice it and they'll go, "Oh, it's Willow." So I've been noticed in 2 or 3 different channels now. So it's kind of fun.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Hey, you got it. You're becoming a celebrity as a buyer.
Small celebrity.
Small celebrity. Well, that's about how our channel goes anyway. At least that's what she said.
I don't want to smack you and knock your headphones out.
Yeah. So
we've got some questions for you. If you don't mind, we would just we want to get an insight in the buyer's mind, because
that's one of the big things.
As a seller, we want to know how you're thinking. I mean, so that we can provide a better service and a better show for you guys.
That any other sellers, if you're watching this, it's a great insight into what are buyers looking for? What are buyers, what do they appreciate? What's their expectations on things?
So if you're a buyer on Whatnot, what initially brought you to the platform? What made you download the Whatnot app?
Great question.
I think for me, it was, I don't know where I saw it, maybe an email or advertisement, but they were going to give you some credit. Like you want to jump on their platform, you spend $20, they'll give you $20. I think that's how I initially got into it. And then I was like, well, what is this really? And then it was like, well, you can find CDs, you can find vinyl, you can find movies, you can find, all kinds of stuff. And that's kind of where I was like targeting was movies, CDs. And then it was just kind of like learning the platform. And of course they've made several upgrades since the beginning.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And I think a lot of them for the better. So I think that's what initially brought me over was, at the time, you were losing, physical media in stores. So you can't necessarily get it. So, especially older movies. So, that was like, this is a way, like what I like to call it, it's garage sale come to your phone. And that's exactly what it is.
Now, have you ever bought static listings on like eBay?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my other place. Sometimes I'll go play on if for some reason I can't find it on Whatnot. I try to go to Whatnot first now, especially if I can go to a category or know a certain seller is selling it, I'll go with them versus eBay, because there's an entertainment factor along with the factor of finding it and getting it at a cheaper price, hopefully, than you can find it on a static eBay or one of the other big sellers out there. So,
did you know that eBay does have live selling?
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but Whatnot's too much fun. Why? I'm hooked now. So.
That's how we feel. They have not really. They haven't fully launched it. It is in beta right now, and it's kind of hard to find unless you're just outright searching for it.
Yeah,
and they're not letting a lot of sellers into it yet. But I feel like they're kind of missing the boat.
Yeah, I agree with
letting
you.
Whatnot get this much of a lead on them. Whereas if they had launched it a
And,
couple of years ago.
You know, one of the big things that Willow was talking about is he was talking about that he saw an ad
Mhm.
that brought him to Whatnot. Now, Willow, have you ever heard of Jamble?
Nope.
Let's see, there's a case in point
Right.
that Jamble is dropping the boat. How about the District or District? Okay, so these are things right here that I feel are very, very important to those reselling platforms, especially the live parts, because Jamble is nothing but a live reselling platform. It is mostly clothing and women's contemporary and things, but there are other sellers on there that do sell, but they're obviously not reaching some of the people out there that are buyers, and so they're dropping the ball. I'm
gonna drop a little ad here. If you're not on Whatnot yet, I always put a link down below where you can click and you can get your $15. And we get 5.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes we've actually gotten people to sell on Whatnot, and they have that program where you're supposed to get rewards.
Yeah,
we haven't really gotten that either.
I'm not 100% sure he did it correctly to get it for us, so I don't necessarily blame Whatnot. Because you have to go through some hoops. But
welcome to my household, Willow. Welcome to my household where I necessarily didn't do it right, which happens a lot on in our house.
I actually meant the other seller we referred may not have done it correct.
Oh.
I was throwing him under the bus, not you. Believe it or not.
Oh. So she threw those other sites under the bus, and I was already under the bus, so she just drove over me.
I'm terrible. Okay. But anyway, that was just mentioning it, since Willow did mention it, that yeah, if you're new, you do get $15 free, and that's pretty awesome.
And it's a pretty great point, though, that Willow found the site from an advertisement. So that ought to just let some of those other sites know, saying, hey, get some ads out there. You got people that come in. The only way to find a site is to know that there's a site that is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's one of the biggest things. Okay. Willow, what type of items do you well, this is actually probably you answered this a little bit, but we're going to ask it anyway. What types of items do you primarily purchase on Whatnot, and what's your favorite category?
Favorite category would be movies. But I look for 4Ks, Blu-rays, some DVDs, but not as much. And then I look for CDs. I've recently started dabbling in electronics, but that hasn't really appealed for me because they're big, or a lot of times these places will sell like big liquidation boxes full of miscellaneous items that they fell off a truck, so it's like maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. So I haven't felt too confident in that. And then, of course, reliability of the seller, too. I mean, of course, you guys have been A+ from the beginning. And so I look for, I probably only have about 2 or 3 main sellers that I go to. But every once in a while, I'll, randomly wake up at 3 a.m. and I'll just happen to look and see if somebody's starting out. Because that's the other thing that really clues me in, is if somebody's got their first show or their second show, they're still learning. And as long as you have a little patience with them, you can get some good deals. Sometimes they have stuff that the main sellers, that's the other thing I've watched, that some shows get a little bit so big. There's too many people in there. There's too much competition. I mean, when you got a show that has 100 people in it versus you got a show that's got 25 in it, you're liable to have a better chance at getting an item.
Right. So, I feel the same way when I'm shopping as well. I prefer to be in a smaller show.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things where, as a seller, we want to get to those higher level of people coming into the room. But as a buyer, we want those lower rooms because I know I can get items, or we can get items at a cheaper price.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really good. Really good.
One thing we talk about a lot on this podcast is community. For sellers, the community and Whatnot is just vitally important. How important is it to you as a buyer? Do you does the community aspect appeal to you? Does it mean anything to you?
Well, yeah. I mean, there was a stream that I was in. He doesn't sell anymore, but you could go in there. You knew he was a good seller. He was very entertaining. And you got to see a lot of the same buyers come in there. And over time, you'd have this camaraderie, but also this rivalry that would happen. Like, hey, I want that. I'm bidding on it. I'm going to get it, but it was all in playful fun. And so when you pop up in streams, you'd get the little, ep shout out, hey, how's it going? Hadn't seen you in here in a while. Where you been? Or the host would acknowledge, where you been? What's going on? Especially if you come up with certain little taglines, like they'd have, the host would have certain sayings. So I would, get in there and chime them up, kind of like I would, be doing your channel as well. And it's like, it's good to see like some of the same buyers, same people in there. And so community, it makes it more fun. It makes it more fun. Plus, if you have a community of buyers that are not buyers, but sellers that you want to go to, you trust that, hey, they're gonna package it well, they're gonna ship it on time. And every once in a while they throw in a free sticker or a free little item or whatever. They're just like, hey, you're a good customer. Here's, so, and then that brings that loyalty that you want to go back and you want to buy from, because you're looking for entertainment, you're looking for good value, and you're looking for just the trust.
That's one thing as a seller I try to do when we end a show. If we're not on like a train or something, I want to raid my buyers into a show that I know I do trust that other seller to give them, a fair deal and to a good product. I don't want to just raid my people into some random person that I don't know, because
we've
I don't
seen some
want them
disastrous raids before.
Right.
We've been in a room where they have just raided into some disastrous raids. It is bad. I know that as a buyer, or not as a buyer, as a seller, we love going in, and I open my show and I see Willow's name pop up on that screen, and I see Repo pop up on that screen, and
Cajun Reseller.
Yes, all of them. And then I know that for me, I'm amongst friends, if I could call it that. I would almost say that it makes our shows a lot easier to run. Because they're there. Now, obviously, Willow can't come in every single one of the shows that he has. He has a job. He works full time, and
sometimes I work.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things where, because I know for Willow, all right, I got to tell the story. All right, Willow. I think we were introduced to Willow. We met Willow through media. We used to sell media a lot, and we were actually behind the camera. This is before. But Willow is one of our OGs. He's one of our original, and he has stuck with us through thick and thin. He has been around from the beginning, practically. He has kept our lights on multiple occasions.
I don't know about that, but
I do as a buyer. So as a seller, I should say. But Willow came in and wanted Blu-ray, and every time it was without fail, I would be running a VHS show, and I was waiting for it. When's the next Blu-ray show? Or I'm running Playboy magazines.
Blu-ray show.
When's the next Blu-ray show?
That's it.
So I would then post and say, okay, I got to do a Blu-ray show. I said, all right, well, I'm going to do a Blu-ray show. I'm going to do it this Thursday at such and such time. And I would do the Blu-ray show, and Willow wouldn't show up. So I do the same show, and then I would do it. I would come back to again. It would be like next week, and I'm doing CDs, and Willow would be in, and he goes, "I got any Blu-rays? Blu-ray show. When's your next Blu-ray show?" I said, "Willow, I just did a damn Blu-ray show. You didn't show up." He goes, "Oh, I had to work." I'm like, "Oh shit." So,
which that is almost what I would call a downfall of live selling, is that you can't meet everybody's scheduling needs.
Correct.
It's impossible.
Right. And as a seller, when we're setting up certain shows, especially us, where we have very niche items, as in Blu-ray, if I don't have Willow in the show, and I don't have other buyers in that show because of my timing or whatever it may be, that show might be a complete flop. Because I need those buyers to be in the
and then you turn around, you do the same show a week later with the same stuff, and it's amazing.
And it just
never know.
Yeah.
So timing is super, super important when you're doing your shows, and the community aspect of it is just wonderful. I remember when we did our 2000th
Mhm.
followers show, we did a ton of giveaways. As a matter of fact, we gave away like 40 something items, or
20 something
20
maybe.
something items. And we dedicated all of those 20 items to people on Whatnot, whether they were sellers or buyers. And I think Willow was number 2.
Number 2.
Willow was the number 2 person that had helped to get us to that place that we were.
And that's only because Repo Man's crazy.
Yeah, that's because Repo Man he has more than kept our lights on. He has literally bought us a car, a house and stuff. He's amazing.
He's a great buyer.
I absolutely love Repo. We'd love to meet him someday. Oh, there's
a
kitty cats.
This is Blackie.
Oh,
that's Blackie. There you go. We talked about Blackie. We actually met Willow at Peaches to Beaches.
Yep.
So it was super exciting. I absolutely loved it. It was great. I think Willow was sitting there walking away from it going, what the hell did I get into?
I don't think so. I think that meal would have went on another 3 hours if we didn't have places to be.
Oh,
yeah.
And the gnats started getting,
yes.
Didn't the gnats start getting bad too? Yeah, I
Gnats.
remember that too. That one?
Yep.
Okay. What are some of the tips that for other buyers trying to find good deals or specific items on Whatnot? So what kind of tips would you give to other buyers who are watching the show to find some great deals or specific items other than shopping at Jack's Treasures, because we already know that one?
I guess some of the tips are like what I was referring to earlier, like look for, like, it's good to get like in a big stream once in a while if you want to get some mainstream stuff, like if you're looking for the newest 4Ks, the newest Blu-rays, the new CDs, whatever. You can get in the big streams and you're going to get it, but you're probably going to pay close to retail for it. That's what kind of you got to watch for. So you got to be flexible on your who you buy from. So different hours of the day, and then look for what I look for is first Blu-ray show, first whatever show.
Mm-hmm.
Go in with some patience because they're going to be learning the platform. And but if you get in there and you chat with them and you talk to them, what you'll see is they're like, oh, this person is communicating with me. They're a real person. They will probably buy something. And then what I like to do is go ahead and get a few things together in a bundle, whatever, and go ahead and buy it like right away. Because then once you agree on a price or whatever, and it may not be the best deal, but what it'll open you up for is this person will say, hey, you're a real person behind the screen. And you go, hey, I want this, this, and this. And they'll go, oh, well, you already bought something. So guess what? I'll give you a discount, or I'll, bundle it for this price. And next thing you know, exactly. Price falls. Exactly. So that's what you got to, you just got to be flexible on fight, because sometimes are prime time on Whatnot, and there's too many people on. And that's what you'll find is you might have one of your favorite buyers on, or 2 or 3 of your favorite buyers. And then it gets hard to switch between. I wish Whatnot, if you're listening, you should like make it so we can pin 3 or 4 different shows in little boxes cool. So we could watch simultaneously different things, because especially I've been in your show and there's something coming up, but I've also been in somebody else's show knowing that they had something I wanted, and it was hard to go flip back and forth to get to the shows. So
I'll say from my aspect as a buyer, I did find some of my better deals when I will go in the middle of the night when I have insomnia. I bought a lot of really cool t-shirts that way and some smaller streams just by poking in the middle of the night when they may only have 6 people in the room, but if that same stream had been on at prime time, they would have had 30, 40 people in there.
That's also how I end up getting stuck on these crazy raid trains too, because she has insomnia and she agrees to do these raid trains, and then she's like nudging me and I'm asleep. She goes, how do you think about that raid train? I'm like, oh yeah, okay, whatever, but yeah, so that is important. Now I have a question that's actually not on the list, but as a buyer, when you come into a show, and do you immediately want that person to recognize your name and say your name on there? And what makes you start chatting other than, if it's a new person or anything like that?
I would say it is fun to get recognized when you come in. But there are some people that like overuse it, because you can sit there and watch the chat and you can see as people popping and they're just really calling out their names. I don't know. That's sort of 50-50 for me, because it's not, maybe it's really genuine, but sometimes it's, like, hey, welcome user so-and-so, welcome user. I mean, that's okay. But it is cool when I go to Jackson and says, hey, it's Willow's here, everybody. So then all of a sudden now I'm pumped and I'm primed. I'm ready to buy something. I'm like, okay, y'all put something on the screen that I can buy. I'm ready. Here's my money. Take it. So yeah, I think once you have an established buyer, recognizing them is important when they come in your stream, because that's gonna, at least for me, it's gonna pump me and prime me up to open up my wallet, take my money, here it is.
I do try to recognize when someone comes in that I know. That's
I think you're really good about that, so
all of the random names coming by, sometimes we'll say hey, especially if it's got a name that just jumps out at me, because that gives us something to talk about. I can be like, oh my gosh, that's such a cool name,
Right.
But now, I don't read everyone.
If the seller doesn't recognize your name, do you make comments?
If I've never been in the stream before, no. Yeah. And if I'm not interested in anything, I'm not going to make a comment. So
okay.
Only if I see something like, hey, I really want to get this, then I'll make a comment like, hey, how much? Or I'll immediately go into their store to see if it's listed. That's another thing, is having at least most of your items listed in the store is really helpful, because that kind of gives somebody an idea, like, can I go peruse another show before you get to my item? And letting a buyer know we're going to go in order, or we're going to, if you call it out, then we'll run it immediately. That way they know I can go ahead and call this out now so that I can buy it right now and I can go to my next show, or I know I can go to another show and then come back and it'll be working down, the line or the list of get to where I need to, bid on the item.
That's one of the hardest things for me as a seller on Whatnot, is deciding which items I'm going to actually list in the show and have available for individual bidding versus just pulling out items, running it for $1 or whatever.
Random pulls.
Yeah. Obviously it's a lot faster if we don't list the individual items, but I do see where having things listed tends to be more pre-bids, more bids, more interest, more likely somebody's going to ask for it. So it's always a balance as a seller.
Yeah.
I think y'all do this, and this is what I would say to other sellers. If you can't list everything, like you're new and you can't list it in the store, you guys are really good about having a table and you have the camera out far enough where you can look at everything that's on the table, so people can get there and zoom in and they can look like a garage sale, and they're looking around to find the item, and then they know to call it out and you'll run it. So I think that's another way, like, hey guys, I don't have this listed. Everything that we have is on the table. Or you might say, I have a few items off to the side that I'm going to save from the end of the show, or, mystery items or whatever. Sometimes y'all have those fancy little bags that y'all, sell at the end of the show.
Yeah, we mystery items are one of the things.
Lounge flies.
Oh yeah. Oh, the lounge flies.
Yeah, lounge flies. Yeah.
Yeah, we throw those in as a big thing to say, hey, we show appreciation that way. We're like, we just got rated by, let's say, Green 13, and he brought in 60 people. Well, I'm not going to do a giveaway. I'm going to run something and give people a deal. So I'm running an item that's a $40, $50 item, and I'm going to start it off at $1. I don't think it ever has gone for $1 yet. The only time that we ever got really bad on that, it was in a Blu-ray show, and I put up 19 Blu-rays. 19 Blu-rays and started off at $1. And sure enough, that sucker went for $1. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where it's like, okay, let's note to self on that one right there. Read the room a little bit better when you're doing that. Are you, as a buyer, can you read a room to see if there's some deals to be had, or if that's a seller that you could trust?
Read the room. Yeah, I guess you listen to the host, you watch how they interact with other people in the chat, so you can get an idea, like, they're willing to deal or they're not willing to deal. You can get a sense of the room if you sit in there long enough. Or, I mean, I've been in some shows where some hosts thought that their stuff was gold and they wanted gold prices. And I was like, no, I bought stuff on Jack's Treasures and that's not gold. I know what gold is. So yes, I think you can read a room. It takes a little while. Like if you're a first time buyer, you're probably not going to be able to read the room per se. And I find myself like in these bigger shows where I go and I try to get the 4Ks or whatever, I'll notice sometimes they'll go for retail or higher sometimes. So I have to go and check my, app to check what I can buy it for from one of the bigger retailers and just figure out what am I willing to pay? Because this is used versus new, or they might be selling a new sealed copy. And
Mm-hmm.
is it worth the extra $2 or $3 cheaper? Is it? Because shipping is a big thing with whatnot. It's gone up, but of course it's gone up all over the world. So that's you have to figure the shipping in and then the price you're going to pay at the end. And the other thing is like, am I going to buy 2 or 3 items from this person to really balance out the shipping? If I'm only going to get one item and I have to pay the shipping, I'm probably better off buying it from a big retailer shipped to my house.
Right.
So,
and I guess that's one of the benefits to having a show preloaded, to whereas you can look through and say, oh, I want that one, and this one.
right.
I can either have them make a bundle, or if it's
Right.
a busy show, like as in there's maybe 25 people in that room or 30 people in the room, and it's actively bidding. Okay, I'll just go ahead and when those come up, I'll bid on those.
Right. And sometimes I'll just mark it like to alarm to let me know when it goes up if I'm in a different place, or I'll go pre-bid because I know it's going to be a busy show. Like I know they're going to have 80, 90 people in there, and I'll just say, okay,
he's not talking about our shows at this time. Okay.
No, not you guys.
We
but other
average about
shows,
30.
I'll go pre-bid and just like, okay, this is what I feel comfortable with. And then I just sort of but that'll sort of lead me sometimes to not watch the show because I don't want to get
Sunk in.
sucked in like, oh, it's going, oh, $1 more. Let me just keep going because I mean, I was in y'all show and y'all know, I mean, y'all made me a bundle. Y'all had, my stuff and I was ready to buy.
I remember this.
Yes.
I remember this.
This guy came in there and he bumped it up. And so I said, this is my bundle. And I bumped it again. And then he bumped it again. I was like, okay, well now I don't want to play this game anymore. So I had to let him have the stuff. So I hope he's enjoying it.
We made another bundle for him for
oh
Willow.
Yeah, of course.
Just
yeah, they made it right. I mean, they made me another one, and sometimes that's what a lot of shows will do too. There's making a bundle and you buy it on screen, and then there's make a bundle and they put it in the store with your name on it. That's a little more official. I mean, it works, but that doesn't stop anybody from going in and buying your bundle. So, but that's another option for new people. If you can't catalog it in the store, you make them a personal bundle instead of just live auctioning it. But it happens. It is a bidding platform, as everybody says. So somebody else wants it.
Right. Go ahead.
I was going to ask a question that we didn't have on here that just came to me. As a buyer, how do you feel about giveaways? Is that like a change how you feel about a room, or does it actually make you stay around longer?
It can. It can. Well, I think for me, most giveaways, it's like, well, if I win the giveaway, that'll help. And I'm not sure if Whatnot's still doing, but it used to lessen the price of your shipping.
Yes.
So then if I won a giveaway, I was more apt to buy more things if I could find them in that show to buy, because then I knew that some of my shipping was helped by the giveaway, which means a better price for me. So it means more value if I'll buy more. So I think that helps the seller and the buyer. If you do a giveaway and you're willing to help with some of the shipping, then, the buyer is more apt to, buy more things.
What if they offered a free shipping, or as we do a lot of reduced shipping where we cap it out and we say, okay, once you hit a certain level, the shipping is on us. Would you prefer that, or we're going to do a giveaway of a $5 Starbucks gift card, which is only about 90 cents to ship?
90 cents.
About 90 cents to ship, so it would only save on that one. Which one would you prefer?
I think the cap is good, or like half the shipping, or whatever. However, it helps. I think that's because that makes us want to buy more things if our shipping, because that's kind of always, I've seen a lot of shows I walked into and they could only find one item that they wanted. but they turned it down, and the buyer or the seller lost the sale because they didn't want to buy the one item and pay the full shipping. And I understand that, because you probably could buy the item for that price at the store. So
Right.
I guess at that point, it's more of a confidence thing. Is at the store, I'm holding the item. I see in the item, I know exactly what I'm getting. Whereas on a live auction, if I was trying to sell these glasses, I can show you the glasses and everything,
right,
but
and you
you
could ship
can't. You
something
still
totally
not.
different,
He can't reach out into the camera and feel
right?
them and look at them or
Or look
anything.
and
Am
see if
I
there's
showing?
scratches on the lenses or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know with media, that is a big deal. It's one of the things that when we do a media show, I'm trying to show the disc a lot and point out any kind of flaws that I can possibly see in this and actually overflaw the item. I will
Right.
undersell it. I
You'd
will
rather
say,
undersell than oversell. Yeah, exactly.
okay, that was a good one. All right. I think it's yours next, right?
As a seller, we're always curious what makes a seller stand out. What's going to make you click that show?
Yes. What brought you to
For the
Jack's
first time.
Treasures after the first time that you came in?
After the first time, so yeah, I mean, the first time was like first show, so that was, and then it was CDs. I was looking for CDs. I think that's how I found you guys, was CDs.
Okay.
I think it was a jazz one where I sold you all of the jazz that I had because
Oh yeah,
you
and I
might
kept
have been
messaging
the
you,
only
give me more.
room in the room. You were the only one in the room other than me and Tracy.
Yeah, and I think that was good too, because for a little while it was like, oh man, because I knew like at the end of the show, if there was some that I was interested, you'd be like, okay, you want to stack any of these? You want any of these? And I was like, heck yeah, let's I'll buy them all. At that point, it's like, but yeah, I love jazz music. So y'all at the time, I guess y'all had a storage unit that had like a lot of media in it, and like a lot of different varieties of media too, and a good half of it was what I was interested in, and I knew I could come to you guys' show, and you guys were fun, even though you weren't in front of the camera at the time, and you had that big old dragon. I think that came later on, the dragon head.
Oh, we still have it
around here somewhere.
It's on the floor.
Yeah,
it's on the floor. Yeah.
And I know people wanted to buy it. I was one of them, but you're like, no, I'm not selling that thing, and I can't ship it. It's too heavy.
I can't ship that thing. It wouldn't make it
you're
anywhere.
like, nope, it's not going to happen, because I still like to buy it. Maybe next time y'all come down and we meet again, I can.
And maybe we can come up
maybe
with
the maybe the
They try
Peaches
to
to
sell
Beaches next year, yeah. Or we just take a trip down to Savannah.
Yeah.
But let's say if you go into somebody else's shows, what are some of the things that you look for other than the items itself? Let's just say the seller. What are some of the things that you look for in a seller that makes you want to come back to that seller?
If they make the show fun, like I followed one guy for a while when I was collecting the little Funko Pops, and every time you go into his show, he'd have like disco ball lights flashing, and he'd have music going on, and he was just like, all right guys, let's go, we're gonna anybody want to buy this? He was high energy. He had a cool environment where the music wasn't too loud, but it was very poppy, very upbeat, and so it just made you want to buy stuff. So sometimes I would just go for the entertainment value and just set my phone on the side and be listening to it, and maybe playing a video game or doing something else, but I'd just be listening in. So
okay, that was great. That's good insight. What are some things you wish sellers knew or did to improve the buying experience?
I think a lot of them that are good, that are on now, they do it. I mean, it's like, show the item, be truthful about the item, pack the item well, timely shipping. If there's any like delays, I mean, I've had a few people, they would like message me, say, hey, I'm sorry, we're delayed on your shipping. We'll throw a few items extra in there or whatever, and something for your time. And I was like, okay, that the communication through the messaging system to let you know if there's a problem, or hey, you were just a big buyer, we threw in some few extra items or whatever, and just the communication to let you know that everything's good if there's a delay or a problem.
Okay.
This is the biggest question I can ask. How many Jack's Treasure stickers do you own?
I probably have
We should buy them back.
I probably have probably 20 or 30 still. I have some that I've actually used. In that cabinet you see behind me is my receiver for this music that plays out here, and I have a Jack's Treasure sticker right by the volume knob. So
I guess because we're loud.
That is true.
Well, no, he's playing a video game because there's a video game console in there as well.
Okay.
Okay. I know.
So he's got the little controller in his hand. It's in the cat. So I was like, oh, this is appropriate.
Yes, we love making stickers and sending them out. And I do think about that sometimes when I'm like, people who bought with it from us so many times, I'm like, they must have so many stickers.
Yeah, I was thinking probably Willow has the second most. Definitely Repo has the most. And we still send them.
Some really cool ones, and sometimes I just hold on to them because I want to put them in a good spot, and I don't want to just randomly.
They'll be worth something one day.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, you laughed yourself off the camera.
I did.
She laughed herself off the camera. Okay.
So, where do you see Whatnot going in the future, and what improvements would you like to see?
Whatnot, if you're listening right now.
This is buyer
35
info.
minutes in. Here you go.
Where do I see them going? I don't know. This is like I still think they're missing a lot of people, because I'll tell people about this at work and they're like, what is Whatnot?
Right.
I mean, I go, garage sale to your phone. Come on. You don't know about this? And they're like, no. So I think they're still missing a big audience. I like for them to get a little more advertisement out there for other people, but at the same time, there's something cool about like having, like not a ton of buyers or not a ton of sellers, I guess, but there's so many categories. So I don't know. I don't know what I hope for them to do. They're making a lot of improvements though on the app since the beginning. So I give them, thumbs up for that. I know a lot of people complain it's still glitchy, but I mean, that's computer stuff. It's always going to be glitchy. So.
It's a lot better now than it was a couple of years
I think so.
ago.
I think it's a lot easier to use.
Yeah. The bidding process on that, the swiping going across. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Do you like that?
The swiping going across?
Yeah, it does. Well, because you generally just go across to swipe to bid, but it doesn't ask for a confirmation. It's just swipe and you bid it. So
yeah, there have been people
accidentally bid on things.
Accidentally bid on stuff, and I do sometimes worry about that when I'm like flipping through shows. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I have to be very careful because I don't want to accidentally swipe to go to the next show and swipe the button to buy an item. That hasn't happened so far. So, but a confirmation might be good. It's just some of these shows go so fast. I mean, they'll have like sudden death, and if you have to do the confirmation and somebody else is faster than you, then I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they do that. But
I don't think we've ever accidentally bid, but we have accidentally bid too much.
Yeah.
maybe
when I'm
that's
swiping across, the bidding would be at like say $5, and by the time I got my finger all the way across, it was 12. And
I know they have a
14.
custom thing that you can set up for like your max bid. But maybe if they had like a little quick setting where you could quickly set a maximum number and not to overgo that number. But again,
that would be good.
That's like if you're pressing the button, you could accidentally do it anyway. But you have to make sure whatever your max number is what you wouldn't want to go over.
Oh, okay. Do you think you ever have buyer fatigue?
Do you know what that is?
What's buyer fatigue?
Buyer fatigue would be like, okay, you're on Whatnot. How many? Let me just ask you this: how many hours a day do you think you're on Whatnot?
Depends on the day, but probably 2 hours. Probably.
Okay. Let's say that if you're on those 2 hours and you're buying every one of during those 2 hours, you just keep buying and buying and buying and buying. Is there a point where it's like, damn, I got to stop. I got boxes coming every single day, and half the time, do you remember everything that you buy for doing that? We've had a lot of buyers that have bought from us before, and they get an item and they're like, I don't even remember buying this.
I have a point, I don't know, if maybe 6 months ago or maybe 8 months ago, where I had a lot of stuff bought and I'd have to go back into my history because I would see it in a different show and I was like, did I I already buy this from somebody? And there was an occasion where I did buy 1 or 2 movies duplicates from different sellers, and it was
Mhm.
like, oops, I got it in the mail, and I was like, oh, I guess I bought this twice. So there we go.
Well, for us as sellers, I think buyer fatigue is something I worry about with. I don't want to rely on just like a small audience to buy from us because they're going to get tired of buying whatever we bring out. That's one reason it's always like, well, I want to try to bring in new people. What can I do to attract new people? Because they haven't bought all the same stuff from us. And that's one thing I think Whatnot needs to look at, bringing in new buyers from the outside, advertising and things like that, because the existing base eventually just they get broke. They bought everything they want to buy.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to get there and continually bring out new items of Blu-ray. Let's say, for instance, Blu-ray, and just keep bringing up these new Blu-ray titles, not knowing if Willow or anybody else has already bought them from me before,
Mm-hmm.
or what it might be. So you might be in a show and you're just looking and going, dang, it's the same stuff I've seen. I saw this in the last show, or I saw this in the last show. And at that point, I start losing those buyers. They're like, oh, he's just going to run the same old stuff. He's just going to run the same old stuff. Have you ever had that where you were in a buyer's show or seller show and they were just running the same things over and over?
Well, I think for me, for like when I'm looking for Blu-rays, there's a lot of shows that I go into, and there's like a lot of common Blu-rays, common titles that everybody ends up with. And so you get in there and usually, yeah, and usually you can, yes, Jurassic World.
I think he bought all of ours though.
Yeah.
Thank God for Chris Platt.
Yep, exactly. And then so you like scan through and you're like, oh, it's common title, and then you probably just jump out of the show. So I can see what you're saying is like if you've got the same stuff and somebody pops in and they're looking for stuff. So but I mean, I think y'all do a really good job of keeping it like really different. Like you'll have NES games and you'll have game night and you'll have Blu-rays, which we haven't seen in a while, but they're coming.
I
hope. Tonight.
And then
we're recording this on Thursday. So yes, I do have a Blu-ray show tonight.
All right, I'll be there. And then board games, y'all do board games. I've gotten several board games from you guys, and I know that wasn't one of your popular ones, but I
love the board game.
I like some of the board games. I've gotten some little smaller games that are real easy to play, like outside with my cousins or whatever. So that's been good. Yeah, y'all do a variety of T-shirts, and then I like when y'all do the wars. So y'all are keeping it,
battles,
spicy,
yes.
keeping it very random. So it's good. I think if you have enough randomness along with a steady stream of the regular stuff, people will know, hey, he's going to have his regular show this time, but he's going to have this type of show the next day, something wild and crazy, or just mystery night. It can be anything, so that kind of keeps you tuned in. Like you got your regular days and you got your wild card days, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have a section of our show where we go over the pros and cons of live reselling. And from a buyer's aspect, that we're going to get a buyer's aspect on some of our pros and cons. And one of the pros of live reselling is that the person is out there and they're selling themselves. We're out there selling ourselves.
Not in an illegal way.
Yeah, not in any of that way. But as a buyer, Willow is so comfortable with us that he suggests the stupidest thing for me to do ever. And it has worked. It has worked. This is, of course, is known as the Santa Doggy Dance. Okay, which I did in a show. And Willow just happened to be in the show. Where did you come up with that idea to say what you said on that show? And tell everybody what you said in the show, if you remember.
Well, I don't remember. You'll have to refresh my memory. Was it about like do it for every first buyer or whatever?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Because you were like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to do it. And I said, well, why don't you just do it for every first new buyer, because then somebody's like liable to be tempted to buy something even if they don't really need it because they just want to see the dance. And I said, this will be good. This will be good for it'll be fun for me and it'll be good for the show. So
and it did work.
It did
work. Now it worked to this extent. I said I'll do it, but Willow has to be in the room. Chris the Cajun reseller, bless Chris Hart, I love him to death. Okay, we would be having a show, and Chris would notice I'd have a new buyer, and he would say, "You have to do the Santa doggy dance." And I said, "Willow's not in the room."
Mm-hmm.
Chris started tagging you.
He sure did. He sure did. And I started getting messages from him, and I was like, "What is this?" And he's like, "You got to get in the show, man. You got to get in the show. I mean, he's getting new buyers, and he needs to do the Santa dance." And I was like, "Okay, all right." So yes, he has pulled me into one or two of your shows.
Just for
that,
the Santa
wasn't
doggy
necessarily a category I was looking for at the time, but it was like, yeah, I need to see him do the Santa dance.
dance. Well, we will be temporarily bringing that back. When Christmas in July hits, a friend of ours does a Christmas raid train, and I've already said he is going to do the Santa doggy dance on the Christmas raid train. So
I just got
you sold the Santa dog that actually was
the real Santa dog is gone.
We did that. I think that might have been the first time that I got a bad comment from Willow. Willow said, "Don't buy it." It was in bold too in the chat, and I'm like, no, buy this damn thing. I need to get rid of it. I ran it like 3 times.
Grab the red panda wearing the costume.
Oh yeah.
I even tried to bid on it because I was going to buy it and just tell y'all to keep it, and it was going to be permanently part of the show. So.
But we did replace it. We have a replacement Santa doggy costume on the red panda. So
and he has a red panda buddy, so he gets to ride the red panda Santa doggy. I don't even know why I did it. I really don't. It was a dog costume.
It was great.
A dog costume, and it was Santa riding the dog.
It was totally off the cuff, and I think that's why it was like, I need to see that again. I'm like, and I think some people tipped to see it again too. It was like, we'll start tipping, and I was like, first time buyers, tippers, let's go. We'll do the dance.
Yes.
So it was great.
Fun.
I'm sure that there's some screenshots of that around somewhere.
There might be a clip, and I might be able to include it if you allow me to edit.
Oh no, no editing on this one at all.
Okay, it'll just be a short on YouTube then.
So you can put a short of it on YouTube. So check it out on YouTube, and you'll see me doing the Santa doggy dance. Now, as a con to that, though, you have people that are live out front of you. Have you been in a show that when you clicked onto that show, you were in the show maybe, I don't know, a minute, and you just said, "No, not for me. The seller is boring," or "I don't trust them," or is there anything like that? You don't have to mention any names.
No, I mean, I think if I go on a show and they really struggling technically with their camera, it can get a little bit annoying. But the biggest thing is the mic. If you can't hear them, it's really, really tough. I know one guy I went to, and I actually enjoyed his show, but apparently he was not able to speak, so all his stuff was done through the chat, and you had to know that, or else it just looked like there was nothing really going on in the background. Once you knew that, you could get some deals, and there was stuff there. So I mean, I would say unless the sellers need to let you know if their show is silent or what's going on in the show, but also like the mic thing. If I can't communicate with the seller and I don't know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in there because I'm like, well, there's other deals. I need to keep moving on, So
yeah.
I also think good backgrounds like draw people in. Like you got a cool background in the back, and you got all your stuff in front of it. That can help, because people come in and go, oh, that's a intricate setup, and what's going on here? What do I need to see? I've even seen people.
I'll say from my aspect as a buyer, if they have stuff in the background and it's not for sale, that frustrates me.
Oh,
they have the cool stuff back there. Oh no, that's not for sale. That's not for sale. I don't like that personally.
That's Ryan the alien from Gulf Coast Pickers. But yeah, so that's our are pros and cons. There are some definitely cons to doing. You have to have an on. I've heard Willow say the term multiple times in the show so far of entertainment. That is part of live selling, unfortunately. And live selling is not just here's the item, here's the item, here's the item.
Right. That gets boring.
Yes, that for us, it for live selling, you do need to have some type of entertainment factor in there. And for us, I think the biggest one is that we're not afraid to laugh at ourselves.
Oh gosh, no.
And Tracy's definitely not afraid to laugh at me.
No.
And make fun of me, which is absolutely fine. You know, we have a great interaction with that, so that it does help with this. It sounds like I'm propping our own show.
You are.
I am a little bit. Okay, so that was our pros and cons section of the show. I am working on coming up with like stuff that I can add to the screen, because there are some things that I can do. I just not very good at it. Yeah.
Bad technology.
Yeah, I'm not very good with technology.
But next we are going to highlight 3 sellers on Whatnot. We're going to highlight a newer seller, a growing seller, and an established seller. And these are all sellers that I believe I bought from all 3 of these sellers before.
I know that I bought from that one because I bought from him,
her.
just from
at least 2 out of 3, probably 3 out of 3, and they're great. We're going to start with our newer seller of the week, and that would be Cajun Queen 2011 2011. She currently has 1.5 thousand followers and 582 sales.
Yeah.
She was a buyer on Whatnot, and she transitioned into selling. So that's kind of interesting. And you do see that happen from time to time. People who get started buying, and they're like, I can do this too. And she's doing it.
Have you ever had that feeling?
To want to sell?
Yeah.
Yes.
No. Cajun asked me about it. He said, "Man, when are you going to be on here and selling?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so. Maybe a YouTube channel, but I don't think I want to sell."
Okay. Yeah, YouTube channel would be great.
You have a good camera presence. Absolutely.
You do.
Oh, thank you.
By the way, Cajun Queen's name is Betty.
Yes.
And she is taking care of a granddaughter now, and she's trying something new, and they enjoy being live. So that's one of the biggest things is enjoy what you're doing. Our second is a growing seller, and his name is Andy Someta. Andy Someta has 3.6 thousand followers, which is very, very good. And he has sold over 2,500 items. So he is in books liquidation. And he also designs and manufactures merch for other sellers and their brand. He helps with their branding. Andy is super, super funny. He's got a great dry sense of humor. If you ever check out one of his shows, he has a lot of electronics. He does a lot of things. I have appreciated Andy's show. And as a matter of fact, I bought some Pokemon cards in Andy's show just 2 days ago.
Yep. So
super, super sell.
And then our larger, more established seller is going to be Upcycled by Bree. Her name is Bree.
Mm-hmm.
She sells the most random stuff. If you're ever in her show and you're like, she's selling a spring, she's selling a rusty box, she's selling this chipped piece of pottery, but she has a way of presenting it to where it's decorative and it's fun.
It's upcycled.
It's upcycled. And it's amazing to me for someone who doesn't have that type of craftiness. She has 18.7 thousand followers, and she sold 27.3 thousand items.
That's amazing.
And her stuff is incredible.
Yeah. Bree is a great seller. She loves rusty, she loves metal, and she loves patina and chippy paint. And she takes all of this stuff and cleans it and fixes it. And just like Tracy said, it's a spring from a bed. And she sells it for like $5 to $10. And she starts everything off at $1.
Yep.
There's everything up at $1.
And she's very big on community. She's always doing community shows, helping out newer sellers, and she's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are our 3 sellers. We have Cajun Queen
2011.
We have Andy Someta and
Upcycled by Bree.
Yeah, please go ahead and give them a check out. There will be links down below to all of their websites, all of their whatnot sites. So all you got to do is just click on that, and you could go right in and see some of their shows.
Yep.
Some of their shows are just amazing. Have you heard of any of those?
I've not, but I'm going to check them out.
That would be awesome.
That would
be awesome. I think Cajun Queen and well, he knows Cajun Reseller. He definitely knows Cajun Reseller.
Different Cajun.
Yeah, but this is Cajun Queen Betty, and I always get them confused.
Yes.
Well, I also get them confused with the Plush Queen.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I do.
You get everybody confused.
I do, except for, including Willow, because like I said on the whatnot, his name is not Willow. It's Will JC. Okay, which I know what those stand for, but to me, I couldn't see that on the screen because I can barely see the screen anyway. So he just became Willow on the screen.
And our next portion of the podcast is something we call Did You Know? It's where we highlight something new that's happening in Whatnot. And our idea today came from Willow. He told us about something new that Whatnot has implemented. Tell everybody.
And I'm going to let him explain it.
Yeah. So maybe 2 days ago in the app, I was surfing through a seller show. I was looking at the listing and I felt my phone vibrate and I was, what is that? And then I looked over and saw that it was time to bid on an item. So now there is an actual vibration that happens to your phone and it'll let you know that an item is up for sale as soon as they start that particular listing, which is, I think, convenient if you're in their store looking, because a lot of sellers will tell you, go into my bin and look in my store and see what I have. And you're doing that, but they're still running items. And you don't know when they listed the item unless you're listening real carefully. But sometimes you're visually looking at items that they've listed in the pictures. But now there is an actual hand vibration that happens on your phone, just a little burp, and it just lets you know, hey, you can now slide and bid on the item. So I thought it was real convenient, and thumbs up to Whatnot for doing that.
Now, do you have to pin the item that you're interested in that item
to get it to do the vibration? No, It's just whatever current item they're about to run. It lets you know that it is up for sale.
Oh, okay. So you don't.
So literally, like they might be sitting there. They had just taken away the item and they're loading up, and so there's that little pause while they grab the new item and list it or whatever that you have to do to make it run for the show. And you might be off doing something else, and the phone will just vibrate just a little bit to let you know that item that they currently have just set in front of the camera is now available to be swiped on and bid on.
Awesome.
Oh, that is great.
So I thought that was really good.
You got it.
What?
Our next section is called Turn the Tables. We're going to allow our guests always are allowed to ask us questions, and they could be just about anything because we don't edit, guys. This is a raw podcast. We don't do any editing.
Whatnot, reselling, or just general life.
Yeah. So, Willow, the floor is yours.
Well, I think I've asked y'all this in person, but I'll do it on YouTube. Give me the top three things that you found in a storage unit that made you go, why did they collect this? Or just the strange items that, and then the second question will be why did you start on Whatnot? What was the spark that said, let's try this? What got you started in it?
Oh, excellent question. That's the first time anybody's ever asked us that, by the way.
Well, for the weird items, I think we'll start with the navy beans.
Oh, gosh,
navy beans. We've talked about that here before. Just a locker. Full of navy beans.
We bought a locker because it was they were all in trash bags and they were like lawn bags, so they were dark. You couldn't see anything in them. We thought they were closed. It was a throw-in unit. We bought another unit, and that unit was a throw-in. It's basically when we buy a storage unit and I have a truck. And it's like, well, that storage unit's not going to fill the truck. This other one's $10. Throw it on there. Maybe we get lucky and we find some of these clothes. We opened up the bags and there were probably, I think we ended up counting over 45 bags of navy beans. Just navy beans. And they were Publix brand navy beans. That's all that they were. And it was like, what the hell are you putting these navy beans in? Are you literally a doomsdayer or whatever it may be?
That's what I would think.
Yeah. And it was like, we couldn't believe it. And then in that same unit, we also found what?
A water purifying system worth $2,500.
Yeah.
Hidden behind the Navy
Doomsday
bin.
prepper for sure. Had to
Yeah.
be. Had
Yeah.
to been.
We bought a unit also in, I want to say it was in Powder Springs, Georgia, from a person who used to work for an airline called Phoenix Air. And in the unit, he had cases upon cases upon cases of 6-pack beer containers.
Empty.
They were flat.
Yeah.
So
like
you
the
know how
little
you have the little
carrying
the
cases.
carrying case that you grab it from the thing and you put it down. There must have been 100 of those things in there.
I'd say that's very small. I'd say maybe 200-300.
Yeah. They were all empty. They were all flat. They were all on top of each other. They were all infested with rats because rats get into storage units and tear up cardboard. But it was like, why are you keeping these? They're not collectible.
No,
they're not
they're
special. They're not, they're generic, light
Coors
beer.
Light or something.
Coors,
Huh.
Heineke, things like that. So that would be another one.
And number 3 is what we're dealing with right now, and that would be 3-hole punches.
Yes. Check out our other videos and some of Tracy's shorts on our current purchase. He was a lawyer.
He also resold.
And he we don't know if he resold or if he was trying to resell.
He did have an eBay account.
He had an eBay account, but he bought every single 3-hole punch, the big mechanical metal 3-hole punches that he ever found.
We have
Every single
recycled probably over 100.
There's well over 100. Now, in this case, I'm going to tell her closer to probably 200 of these things. So those are 3 of the things. So how did we get started on Whatnot? Well, I'm going to have to let Tracy tell the story because she brought it to my attention. I didn't know Whatnot existed.
I've been in the reselling community in a small way for a long time. I watch people's videos, and I honestly couldn't tell you which reseller's video I heard it in first. But we did hear mention of this platform called Whatnot. And I was like, well, that sounds interesting. You go live. And I was thinking of him because he's got this personality. Yeah. And he loves that socialization. I was like, well, let's give it a try. Let's see what it's like. And we signed up. Back then, you actually had to get approved to sell on Whatnot based on your inventory and your social media. Well, we didn't have a big social media presence.
Still don't.
But I was able to show them a video I had put on YouTube of us having bought this giant storage unit full of video games and Pokemon cards and fun stuff like that. And I think it was that video that told them, hey, we want these people on Whatnot. And so we got accepted very quickly, which wasn't the norm back then. We did all of our onboarding and really haven't looked back.
Yeah, we were very close at one time. And this, I don't know if Willow knows this, but at one time we were very close to quitting.
That is true.
Whatnot. We were on Whatnot for almost
2 years.
Almost 2 years. And it wasn't that we weren't selling, because we were. We were selling a lot of stuff, but we were selling a lot of stuff that was $1, $2, $3 things. We were very rarely getting those high dollar amount items. And we were also behind the camera. We never really got in front of the camera because that's how we started. We started being from behind the camera. And so it was just one of those things. And I was still having fun. And I think one of the biggest things for me that connected me with Willow was him correcting me on 2 things. Slip sleeve covers on Blu-ray, because I could not say it one night. One night I could not put those 2 words together, and Willow never lets me forget it. And I misspoke about the actor of Chris Pratt, and I called him Chris Platt. And to this day, it is now Chris Platt. Yes. No matter what. And Willow, I don't know how it all got started, but I was like, well, I'm going to get Chris Platt to come on our podcast or on our Whatnot. And my lawyers are talking to his lawyers, and we're talking numbers, and and I think it's over exaggeratedly could not possibly be true. There's no way. I mean, I did not believe Willow for 1 minute thought I was going to have Chris Pratt on our whatnot. That was one, and then it was the VHS. 13 Monkeys, was that what it was called?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I know that Willow saw that VHS in our VHS show probably hundreds
monkeys.
of times because I build this as this is a Jack's Treasures exclusive. It's signed by Jack's Treasures. You cannot get it anywhere else on the planet. There's only one. So I'm trying to run this thing for like $13,000, and Tracy would price fall it because that's how we came up with price fall down to $1. Nobody would buy it, and then finally somebody bought it.
I think Repo bought it.
I think,
if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember, but it was just one of those things where that started the whole thing of us having fun, but then it was just one of those things where it was a grind, and we would have a show and nobody would come in, and I've had one recently where we did a comic book show, and I
think we've retired from comics and whatnot.
I'm still not retired quite yet, but I've given it I'm giving it my all. But it's just one of those things where we almost quit, and we met Paul, the Philly Flipper, at the Nashville meetup, which is next week for any resellers. We will be in Nashville next week. And actually, it's going to be just completely different because last year we went, we didn't know anybody. And this year we're going and we know a lot of people that are going. So, but when we met Paul encouraged us to come out from behind the camera. He loved our energy, I guess. And basically from that point on, it almost felt like Paul's hand was behind our back and just pushing us along. Willow actually made a comment when we met Willow, by the way. We really did meet Will in Peaches to Beaches in Brunswick, Georgia. He was very gracious to drive down to meet us. I didn't realize how far it was for him for a drive. Otherwise, I would have said, no. We'll
meet halfway or
something.
Meet
halfway. But he was insistent on driving down there. So we drove down there. We didn't meet Willow. But where was that going?
I have no idea. I'm just letting you ramble.
I don't either. But Willow is he is our OG. He was an OG. And so we met Willow. And to me, that was one of the best meetings I had ever had. It wasn't that I'm meeting somebody like Paul the Philly Flipper or I'm meeting Chris Cajun reseller. I'm meeting somebody who has bought from us. I'm meeting somebody who has bought for himself, from us, not buying from us to resell, but buying from us to do that. And I want to say thank you. I absolutely love you. You know that.
And thank you for coming on today.
There's another kitty.
Cat. His are so calm.
Yeah.
If I was in here, they'd be fighting and falling and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah. What's that one's name?
Gandhi.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. So on reselling platforms, guys, a buyer here, right here, take his advice. Okay. If you're a reseller, this is who you want right here. If you've
got badass Blu-ray cheap, go ahead and tag him on Whatnot.
Oh, that's what I was going with. You brought it to a thing. Willow did make a comment when we met, and he said, when I used to come into your shows, I could always get good deals. But now part of the growing process, we have grown so much that Willow said, it's hard for me to find the deals now and it's not us. We're starting stuff off at still $1. But we have more people in there that will bid and they'll bring those things up. So it's one of the bad things about becoming a larger seller. Yeah. And we don't want to lose Willow. No. We're not going to ever lose Willow. We'll still bring.
Like I said, do tag him if you've got some cool stuff. I mean.
Yes, and it is WILJC, 2 L's. Will JC. Tag him in your show if you have Blu-ray, 4K, Ultra 4K. Anything kind of unique. I could tell you this.
He doesn't need Jurassic World.
No, he does not need Jurassic World. He's got plenty of those. I think he's got one signed by Chris Platt.
Probably.
I sure do. I have an official one. I'm good now.
Yes. But every time I tagged Willow, I will let you know he came into a room because I would tag him if I was in somebody else's room and they were selling Blu-ray or something like that. I would say, Willow, this guy's got some Blu-ray. You know, even as a seller, I don't have a problem sharing buyers. You know,
I guess about time to
Willow,
wrap it
any
up.
final thoughts? What are you thinking about live selling, plus or minus the live selling versus static selling?
The plus is if you find the right show like Jack's Treasures, that's entertaining, it's fun, feels like family. Yeah, like when I buy from you guys, I'm not buying from strangers, I'm buying from family. And I know that if I had a problem with something, I just reach out and y'all would take care of it.
100%,
So I have like feel like zero risk with buying anything from you guys, and everything. It's convenient that y'all live kind of close because the shipping is really quick for me. So that's also another plus. Can't be helpful for everybody else, but you know, I feel like, you know, if I buy something, I have a problem, I'll just reach out, hey, and y'all fix it. And you know, that's what it's about. So
awesome. Well, check us out next week. I don't know who we're going to have on next week.
We're working on a couple of
We are
different
working on a
possibilities.
couple of people for next week, and we probably are going to be. We might be going live from Nashville on this podcast, live from Nashville. So check that one out too. Willow, thank you for coming in. You were an amazing guest. Peace out. Thank you,
see you around.
everybody. Peace
Bye.
out.
see you guys.
Bye.